We are live on the Side Quest with your favorite people, Dolly and Taylor, here at lovely SideQuesting HQ, talking all about video games and the culture of video games and the people that play video games, including us. I'm Dolly Domofsky. That is Taylor. How's it going, Taylor? Exactly.
Oh no, I've been blurred.
Yeah,
I'm
blurred.
great.
Fine.
I was trying
Bad.
out StreamYard's blur my background real quick. I
Yeah.
figured why
Does it
not
not
wait
work as
until I
well?
was like, why not wait until we go live to test it? And yeah, no, it's kind of shitty. I have a green screen sitting in the other room. Have not put it up in about 3 months, so
Mhm.
I'm not gonna start today, obviously.
Of course.
So you'll just have to look at my bookshelf. There's
Totally fine.
an outdated CCNA book. There's a Lord of the Rings trilogy, some college level biology textbooks, and Absolute Watchmen. That's
I like
what
it.
you got.
Oh, good choice. The collection of all the Watchmen.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've had you on. You've been busy, which is
Yeah,
what happens.
life came at me fast. We kept doing the podcast on Tuesdays, and I can't do it.
Yep.
it was like, what if we did the podcast on Tuesdays for 6 weeks straight? And I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
it's tough. We're gonna try to mix it up and see what we can do. JJ, for instance, right now can't do weekdays because he switched to different times
he's
for
got his
the
work stuff.
foreseeable future. I've been crazy on my weekdays and stuff, so we'll
We've
get
got
there.
people on
We got bodies all over the
medical
place.
leave. We've got
Medical leave.
I mean,
I mean, you
like
guys, oh goodness.
it's a mess out here.
Yeah.
Side
Bloody
questing HQ.
mess. Yeah,
It's crazy because
Sam,
like
pouring one out for Sam. No,
we have
just
so
kidding.
many
Sam's alive. He's working.
we have so many rooms in this headquarters, and
Everywhere you look, I'm seeing you across. There you are over there.
yeah, it's
There you
good to see you as always.
Just high-fived you. Yeah. Wait. Oh goodness, we're in a blimp, in a pineapple under the sea, which we'll get to surprisingly later. Anywho, we got a few little stories to go over. Excuse me, to go over today. My goodness, sorry about that. I saw you drinking, and I figured, man.
Yeah, what if you
actually
also did that? Yeah.
What if I also did that and did it wrong? We got a few stories to go to today. The first one, I think this was the hottest news of the week.
What's the hottest news of the week?
The hottest news of the week. Did you see a little film called the Mario movie?
I didn't actually, but
nope. But guess what?
A lot of other people did.
A lot
of them.
Several 100 million people did because it made like 1.4 billion or whatever. Nintendo decided, hey, what if we made more movies based off of our properties?
And you know what would be really helpful is if we like had a production studio and then a really profitable franchise to base it off of.
That would be amazing, right?
That'd be really useful.
They have one. They don't have the. No, just kidding. They have both in a way.
Well, yeah, one's animation focused, but
yes,
what they do have is another profitable IP, of which that's another news bite that we'll get to later. But Legend of Zelda on the big screen, but live action, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah. So Miyamoto tweeted by himself. Totally was the one that tweeted from Nintendo's account. Nobody else. That there is a Legend of Zelda movie in the works with Avi Arad of
that is
of the Blade the TV series fame, which you guys all might know, and Spider-Man 3,
certainly a choice.
And Sony is involved as well. But the actual director is Wes Ball, who has some weirdly they dug up tweets. Wes Ball, by the way, is doing the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes film, which the first trailer looked really cool. He's done a few other things, but Wes Ball's been tweeting about wanting to do a Zelda movie for like 13 plus years. I think in 2010, he tweeted out that if there was ever a movie he'd want to make, but he'll never get the chance, is The Legend of Zelda. Guess what, bro? You shot your shot. He shooted his shot 13 years ago. But
it's just really, but like, here's the guy, director of the Maze Runner trilogy, and you're like, and then the Kingdom of Planet of the Apes, and you're
Yeah.
like, he's our guy.
And let's
You were
work with Avi Arad, who did Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 and
well, yeah. I mean,
Daredevil
like
movie.
obviously, I mean, listen,
Yeah.
we've got Sony is running production, and so when Sony is running production from a film house studio perspective, it makes all of those choices a lot less
Yeah.
ambiguous
Yeah.
because you know what production studio did all those things? Oh, the rights holders of Spider-Man and on
Yes,
the film side,
exactly.
which is Sony
Yeah.
Production Studios. So like, it's always bizarre. It's bizarre, it's uncanny to like to watch this kind of stuff play out because you're like, oh, there is somebody at Sony that is really big deal
Mhm.
that gets to make these kind of choices of who's going to be involved in their projects. Liked that one dude that they worked with, and they're like, listen, he's the guy I want to work with on Legend of Zelda live action. And then they bring him back, and you're like, why? And you're like,
Yep.
is there any other reason? It's like, nah, he was just really good.
Just really
You're
good.
like, okay.
It
I
is
mean,
interesting. Yeah.
it's
I
just
would have
like, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, I was gonna
You would
say
have done what, Dolly, as
I
a
would
film
have
producer?
I would have not first of all, I would not do a live action Legend of Zelda. I made my point clear
I
in
do
the
agree with that.
Discord that I don't want to see a dude with fake pointy ears because even in the Lord of the Rings that
Yeah.
looked awkward. At least in the Lord of the Rings, the elves are sort of, I don't want to say background characters, but they kind of were because everything was on Frodo and the wizard dude. Like that's all it was about. That's
The
all people
wizard
cared
did.
about. The wizard dude.
Mhm.
And the typical, the typical Caucasian long-haired sword wielding guy. The king.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's
And
such a
so on. But yeah,
Legend of Zelda, almost like even more than Mario, really, is such a fantastical
yes, it really
um
is. Really is.
uh what's the word I'm looking for? Um like
Mario is American. Like he's legitimately an American. He's an immigrant to America or a child of immigrants to America from the real world, and he's sucked into a mushroom world. That's that okay. There's some realism. There's more realism there than Link is an elf who is born in a tree tribe called the Kokiri, and somehow, by the way, the Kokiri become the Koroks later on in
yeah,
life, and somehow
I guess
evolve.
what I would
But
be
yeah,
most concerned about is just the fact that like Legend of Zelda is the kind of thing where I want to suspend my
belief,
disbelief as like or my suspend
belief,
my belief. Yeah. How's that work?
one or the other.
Whichever.
Suspend your belief. Yeah.
As much as possible. And live action, I feel like constrains my ability to do so in an awkward way for something that should be like pure fantasy.
Sure.
And maybe some people will call
The
me a hater, and that's fine. But I don't know. Like,
well, the other aspect about live action. So the Mario movie made 1.4 billion. This Zelda movie will never make that much money
true, it's not
because
Mario.
it's not
Like,
Mario.
it's just
Also,
that
it live action
it does
as
not. It will
well
not appeal
does
to kids as
will
much.
not appeal. You're not
Yeah.
going to have families taking their kids to go see a Zelda
Let's go
movie.
see.
You're
Yeah, let's
not.
go see the live action Zelda
I want to
movie.
see
Like,
live action unless it's comedy, like family comedy level of live action. That's
right.
the only way. And even then, you're looking at a movie that'll maybe break. Like
Are we doing
Pokemon,
the
it'll
dark?
be
Are we doing
Pokemon
dark
style,
gritty?
right?
Are we doing the dark and gritty Zelda? Legend of Zelda?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, Pokemon Detective Pikachu is kind of dark and gritty in some places, right? Because it had some strong themes. And that movie made 400 million.
Right,
So
but
that made chunks.
compared to the
That's also
animated,
Pokemon.
I was gonna say, but compared to the animated Pokemon movies, like how much did the goat, the OG Pokemon 2000 do?
Not didn't make as much as Detective Pikachu, that's for sure.
You sure?
Oh, Detective Pikachu is the highest. Oh, I mean, it crushed. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, you're right.
but still,
At the time, though, Pokemon movie
yes,
2000 was very, very
and it all
133 million.
exactly, and that was phenomenal at the time. It also was phenomenal because it was animated, and I think animated there will. We talked about the Mario movie. The Mario movie is very vanilla. in what it was trying to achieve. It was saying it was literally every Mario meme possible, but that's fine because they were going for you're watching a movie about the Mario games and like a little short comprised history of games. That's it. That's all that was. It wasn't meant to be a story.
Yeah.
Zelda has a story. Like there is a legit struggle between good
but it's also
incredible evil.
It's also one of the most vanilla stories out there as well. I mean, there's a princess, there's an ultimate evil, there's a legendary swordsman, regardless of whether the fact that he's reincarnated of whatever, blah 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 blah. I mean, like that part of the story is always the same. There's a Triforce,
but are they going to touch on any of that? That's what my question is. They probably won't. They're probably going to take. God, they might take the first Zelda game and just I mean, there's a lot of lore in Zelda you can work from, basically.
Yeah, I need to know where in the Historia they are pulling from.
No, it's true.
Yeah, listen, like, I mean, I'm obviously being sarcastic here because, like, from a movie perspective, it's gonna get unless somebody from Nintendo, unless Miyamoto is getting involved, like it will not matter.
Correct.
It is for naught. It does not. It is irrelevant because
Shiggy's involved in this one.
Yeah, sure, he's involved, but like unless I see an article that comes out that's like he gets final say, it will not matter because
he did with Mario. He had finals, and all I'm going to say is I hope that they're working closely.
If he had final say in Mario and it ended up as vanilla as you just described, then
because it's all they wanted. That's what he wanted.
Then it's irrelevant. If his goal is to make it as approachable to a common viewer as possible, then that's what it is, and it will be just like there is Link, there is Zelda, there is Ganondorf, there is the Triforce.
It is the
and
as long as you check journey. Yeah, you're right.
Then we have achieved what my goal is, which is to tell that that is the story of Link and Zelda.
And it may end up. That's what I think it's going to end up being. It's going to be the vanilla Zelda story. I would have loved to see it animation because I think you could do a lot more fun things in animation with. I mean, we saw that with Mario with things getting squished, but that's also Mario. Mario gets squished in the games. Doesn't really happen with Zelda. Zelda is a little bit more realistic type of stuff, but I believe it's going to be. I think I'd love it for it to be dark, but I do think it's going to be a very vanilla, very basic hero's journey, and it's going to get the same rating that the critics gave Mario movie, which is like you're going to get like a 65 or 70, which is whatever. And then at the same time, it'll be like, but I didn't dislike it.
And then the audience is going to be like, oh my god, they brought I can't believe Zelda's there on the screen.
That's exactly what it's going to be. And you're going to have a little dude. Link's going to walk into a cave, and there's going to be a guy there saying it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. But yeah, I'm keeping after watching the Mario movie, I'm keeping my expectations so low for Zelda in terms of plot, and I'm okay with it because it's like I just want to see that one on screen and then see where it goes from there. But that's not the only news. I mentioned a few stories. We also have a story. Speaking about big games and big properties, we have a story from our friends over at Rockstar Games who have given us a date for
our very good friends.
Our very good friends.
We definitely didn't negatively review one of theirs and then give
the only review game date they ever sent us and then never received another one because we gave it such a poor review. And in the end, everyone freaking loved it. But the Rockstar Games has said, okay, we know y'all want that.
Hey, we know that this just got leaked.
GTA 6.
And
literally, it's what the tweet was. Yeah.
But we're gonna post a trailer in December.
I wonder where.
Definitely not the only games thing happening in December.
The only big game. However, they said it'll be in early December. They could just go rogue and put all the focus on themselves and have people talk only about.
Actually, I was thinking about this. after this got posted, and then people are like, and then you posted, game, Game Award season, and then I had the thought of like, man, what a buck it would be to just be like, yeah, sorry, Game Awards.
Yep.
We kind of need to like direct. This is our deal, and or maybe it was just too expensive for Game Awards, which is totally possible.
Totally possible.
GTA,
Rockstar can do whatever they want on their own.
GTA 5 is such a behemoth that like it would not surprise me for Game Awards to not be able to swing.
I could see. All right, ready? I could see a GTA 5 trailer at the Game Awards for like the next gen version. The next gen version of GTA 5 and the Switch version.
No way.
Here's the Switch version of GTA 5, and then like at the Game Awards, and then like 2 days later, and then a teaser for GTA. Yeah, come watch us. Be ready on December 12th when we reveal the trailer.
Then again,
that could happen.
Senor Keeley would not care so long as he got to say that it was a world first or world premiere of GTA 6. So as long as he gets the first, even if it's only a teaser for the full trailer to come afterwards, I would bet he would take that.
Yep.
He'd be fine.
Yep, for sure. Anywho, I own GTA 5. I think I've owned it twice now, but I've never beaten it. Never played it. I own it. I played a lot of GTA 4 and San Andreas.
I played the shit out of GTA 4. I was working at a hotel back when GTA 4 came out.
I remember you were. I remember that.
And I played that in the upper loft of a.
Oh, did you?
Of the employee housing that was there at the hotel. On my disconnected 360 off disc, and GTA 4 was a good time.
Former SideQuesting writer and entrepreneur Mike Bachman also worked at a hotel.
Yeah, he was doing a little bit different. I was at the time I was a waiter, but
he was just getting us discounts all the time at hotels whenever we went.
The good days are
GTA. I remember GTA 5 coming. Yeah, like I said, never touched it. I should eventually one day, and maybe I will.
I played like 2 hours into the mission, into the storyline.
When do you think the game's going to be coming? You think it's next year then? If they're going to show a trailer?
I think it's 2025.
Oh, you think so? Okay, so you actually think it's not even 2024, 2025. Okay.
I think so. They announced. So I think that they drop a trailer. I think that they target holiday of 2024. And I think that they miss it and it goes to 2025.
I love it. I love this. Yeah, it could very. Yeah, no, you might be
that's
right.
That's my gut. That's my gut.
Yep.
If it was me, I would just say it's coming 2025 straight up.
Okay.
And you don't even say when in 2025. You just say 2025.
Yeah.
We saw. God, how long ago was the one leak? The leak that where it was like they got into their servers and there was the dev footage.
Mm-hmm.
That was almost a year and a half ago. I feel like. I don't remember, so don't quote me on it. But I mean, like, there was clearly substance to what that was, but that was just like playable substance. That wasn't. We have any semblance of what a mission looks like. That was engine running. So how far have they come in that amount of time? Who knows? And I feel like, we don't know how old that was at the time. I feel like we're at minimum 1 year out already.
Strauss Zelnick, CEO. This is back in August. I'm reading here. I'm going to share this tab over on GameSpot. Thank you, our friends over at GameSpot. Haley Williams writes at the latest earnings report, says they don't mention GTA 6, but they said they hint at a late 2024 or early 2025 release for GTA 6, just lining up when they believe their big money chunks are going to come in.
Yeah, so like I said, I think
so there you go.
If it's Take Two. So obviously Take Two, the owner of Rockstar,
Mhm.
Take-Two wants this game to come out in holiday of 2024,
Yeah.
right? The game is most likely not going to release in holiday of 2024
Mhm.
because something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Crunch, whatever. God forbid some employees of Rockstar decide to try and form a union. Who knows?
God forbid.
God forbid. God knows this happened in many other companies over the past
Mhm.
years. So I would hedge my bets on 2025.
Mm.
I actually think that Q2 2025 would be
Mm.
really killer
Yep.
because they've
April, May, June. Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they've brought in such a younger audience into GTA 5 online that to try and sell it for the summer of 2025 would be really, really effective when
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
the kids go out for summer break.
Yep.
Um, and
You're right. That would be huge.
what that does is afford you the ability to also delay to Q3 of 2025 and be like, "Oh, sorry, we missed summer, but guess what? Here's holiday." And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the one benefit is that if you release in quarter at the end of Q2, right before summer, is that you can release your big DLC, which probably comes with multiplayer DLC. Because let's be honest, GTA 6 is now going to be a multiplayer game after what happened at GTA 5.
Mhm.
They bought whatchamacallit, that one multiplayer um thing that for GTA 5. Oh god, 5M.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
they bought 5M a month
Yeah.
ago, pretty recently. And so like they're clearly either interested in cornering the market on multiplayer or expanding it, however you want to view it, negatively or positively. And so if they release it for summer, that means that you can have a big multiplayer push uh for fall and holiday. And so that's my guess, is
Mhm.
that they're going to try and target Q2 so that they can have DLC for Q3, or they'll target Q3 so that they can get the install base and then roll out the stuff afterwards.
Sure. Sure.
2024 though, uh,
Holding you to it. Holding you to it. 2024.
yeah,
We'll
we'll
see.
see.
We'll see. Game that doesn't need 2024. In fact,
Yeah, I mean, God, how
it's
much
going
money?
back it's going back a few years. Is Fortnite, which just had its biggest ever day with 44 million players by just going back to the original map.
And you know what? Even that still can't make the Epic Game Store profitable.
Yeah, that's the other aspect. The
Because
Epic
that's the
Game
other
Store
news
is
story of
yep,
the week
yep.
slash
Oh my
slash
goodness.
couple weeks is that yeah, Epic Game Store still is not profitable after all
Yeah,
this time.
after trying to sign exclusives. So yeah, these two go hand in hand. Trying to sign exclusives has not bumped revenue, as you know, they're not making much more significantly. In fact, like you said, they're still losing money on Epic Game Store.
Yeah, and
What are your thoughts on why? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts.
my thoughts on why they're not doing it is because you know the details on it. We have a story of sentiment which comes out, which is the fact
Hmm.
that why isn't Epic making money yet? But then we have a
Hmm.
story of facts, which is what goes out to the shareholders, which is the fact that they are still in a expansion phase of what the Epic Game Store is, which is dropping significant amounts of money on exclusives and attempts at relevance. Um, Beyond that, you have a contingency of people which just do not like. They just are adverse to the fact that Epic Games pens exclusivity at all away from Steam. The one thing is that Valve has been very smart about not trying to pen any exclusives onto the
Hmm.
Steam store. I mean, they know that they don't need to, so that helps them a lot, obviously, is that like when you already are the top dog, it's not really necessary for you to say you have to, here's your exclusive deal to release on Steam, right? Um, but they get free bargaining power of, uh, you know, of the consumer fan base by not trying to make exclusives. Valve does. And Epic, on the other hand, doesn't get that because they're trying to make exclusives to bring people over to their game store. But they're, I personally see the sentiment that people do not like the fact that Epic is taking that stance on things. I think that Valve, I mean, and we're talking about niches of niches, right? Like anybody that's posting about the fact that they don't like that Epic has an exclusivity period to a PC game, we're already talking about, kind of peanuts in the grand scheme of things. But that's just, that's the reality of things. I think that Steam Deck actually oddly has made actually a pretty big difference.
I agree as well. I definitely
Because
agree as well. Yeah.
when something comes out, like Alan Wake 2, which I'll be talking about later, that's an Epic Game Store exclusive.
Yeah.
And even though that it runs like dog shit on the Steam Deck, it actually does still run on the Steam Deck, which
you still play on the Steam Deck.
You can, right? You literally can, which is in and of itself kind of a miracle, even if it is at 20 FPS. But those kinds of things, like, there was a lot of goodwill that Valve earned by making the Steam Deck, making an affordable kind of alternative PC game machine. And then Epic makes it that much harder to run a game on it. And so those exclusives just kind of sap goodwill away from the people that want to be able to just play it.
Sure.
And it's just like, it's the easiest win that Valve could have made for PC gaming, because all they have to do is sit there and let Epic make an exclusive, and it just creates negative will against Epic just by the fact that they can't get it day in and date on Steam, and therefore on Steam Deck. Even though the Heroic launcher works okay, but the vast majority of people don't want to use it.
For me, it's the part of the problem is that Epic is a new game store, still a new game store, no matter how many years old it is at this point.
Yeah.
Everybody's had Steam forever. In fact, Steam comes preloaded on a lot of PCs in order to use a lot of VR stuff. Like if you want to use any VR stuff, like the Vive, or it used to be the Vive, but definitely the Valve stuff, you need to have Steam, right? Meanwhile, the other VR things, you can load their own apps. You can use a Steam Deck. And Valve, I think one of the other things is the ease of use for developers to do stuff on Steam. Like there is a big community aspect within Steam. Like you're building communities with friends, or as a developer, you're building communities, you're allowing people to rate and review and post comments and post
the
pictures.
Social aspect of Epic is still significantly lagging behind.
It really is. And it's not bringing people, like I didn't in the past, but now that I have the Steam Deck, I like scrolling through Taylor's games and seeing what he's been able to do. And I think the other aspect is Valve recently has not been antagonistic towards other marketplaces. Like Valve, even with like iOS, say what you want about Apple and Google, Valve was like, you know what? Okay, fine. We won't sell games on there, but we'll put our authentication apps. We'll work with you guys. We don't want to be on your bad side, because that's the last thing we want to do right now, because who knows, down the line, maybe things will get better. But I mean, Valve has the luxury of already being that big and giant and not really worrying about mobile. But I think
as opposed to what Epic did, which was, they kicked the hornet's nest with Fortnite. And when they wanted to, when they wanted to go around Apple's Apple storefront and all that kind of so
I think it's a good question what Exagermoose is saying, and
they definitely did. The difference is they had huge growing pains. The difference is
that's it right there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's that they were the only ones at that point in time, but it was also 20 years ago.
Yeah,
they were
having growing pains. People didn't care,
right? I mean, like we're talking about the people were complaining about the exclusivity of being able to activate certain Steam titles or certain Valve titles, I should say, in 2004. It
Yep.
was at the end of 2003 and the beginning of 2004, the era of converting over to the orange box.
Mm-hmm.
This is the era when they were, picking up the Counter-Strike IP and bringing it in private because it was previously a custom map. That kind of thing. Like, that's how old we're talking about, where Valve went through these growing pains with Steam. So it's just,
Yep.
it's tough to imagine it,
Yeah.
being redone with Epic. The other thing, I want to double down on the community side of
Mm-hmm.
what Steam offers.
Yeah.
The fact that the wish list system
Oh
is so
God, it's great.
is
So
so
important.
important to what a game's livelihood means.
It's massive for devs.
Yeah, I
Massive
mean,
for devs.
we kind of watched this with we got some insider friend info for some of the games that have been coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I'll talk
Friend
about
side.
that. I'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like, that kind of thing doesn't exist for Epic Games in the same
Yep.
way.
Yep.
There isn't a significant wish list system that ties to wish list to sales. There's not a system that ties from reviews to sales, but all of those things exist in kind of a semi-known algorithm on Steam. And so
Yeah.
that's another part of the reason why I think Epic Games still struggles.
Yep. Yep.
And the last thing I want to touch on before we move on, because we should,
Yep.
is that despite the fact of the news that we were talking about the last time I was on the show with Unity eating its own foot, is that Unreal 5, as successful and useful as it is, Epic, it feels like to me, that has not figured out a way to capitalize on integrating Unreal 5, that engine, and how does that translate? It owns Unreal. It owns one of the major game
Yep.
engines
One of the
in the
major
space.
entertainment engines at this
Yeah,
point.
I mean, for real. I mean, yeah, I mean, Unreal 5 is used in major picture studios, right?
And in
For
cars, by the way, it's also used in cars, which I know. Yep.
I believe it. Um, and how do you translate that
Sure.
into getting games discoverable on your platform? And if they have in it, if they think that they have done it, Epic Games, if they think that they've done that, we as the users and as the consumers do not see it. So even if they think that they've done it, it doesn't matter because nobody here, consuming games believes that they have. They don't see it. So it's effectively irrelevant. That's my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, at
Nope.
least.
Yep. I'm it's going to be a long slog for Epic Game Store, and I think part of it is just understanding that if you want to get people on your store to shop, you got to get people on your store to stick around first. I mean, there's
Yeah.
I think there's
And
some cool things they can do outside of it that they haven't really
exclusives and
embraced.
free games will only go so
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I would guess that gravy train's going to last for about one more year. But
I mean, I think I've bought one game on Epic Games Store, and that was Ooblets, and that was only to get because it was on sale, and you got like a $10 off thing, or maybe I bought Loop Hero, and I got
oh
Ooblets for free or something like that.
God, Loop
That
Hero
was
is
it.
so fucking
Everything
good.
else is free games on Epic Games Store unless it's a review code. Meanwhile, Steam is very easy to buy from. It's very easy to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy this. It's
Yeah, and
it's
the other thing is that, like,
$3.99 or whatever, and I'm
in
like,
general, you never have to worry about Steam sales being like an inevitability.
yeah, yep. There have been some interesting free games on Epic Games Store, but even those now, like you said, are drying up. It's like you used to have these big games, like yeah, you get the first Alan Wake game, awesome, and then the next free game is you get a 30-day trial to this and the premium version of this free to play game. All right, we see where this is going. Enough about that. Enough about places to play games, let's talk about the actual games we've been playing. And
Yeah.
I'd like to go first because I have the
Please.
review code. Last year, 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we were graced by Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, the game that our very own SideQuest said was going to take on the platform fighting game genre and steal the crown from Smash Brothers because it's done by actual fans. It's doing stuff that Nintendo would do.
October of 2021.
October of 2021. And boy, oh boy, was he right. Because that's all the people have talked about over the last... No, just kidding. The original game was fine.
Semi-right.
It was fine. It lasted as long as Multiverses lasted. So Multiverses probably lasted even less. And we thought it was dead. We thought, cool, they put out just this fun thing. Nickelodeon wasn't going to support it, whatever. But there was a glimmer of hope there. Somebody at Nickelodeon said, I bet we could still squeeze some money off of this if we did things the right way with it. Like if we actually supported it and made people want to go back. The original Nick All-Star Brawl was pretty devoid of content. It was literally just the fighting game aspect of it. There wasn't a campaign. There wasn't a lot of like fun unlocks. There wasn't anything to do by yourself except go through the arcade mode over and over again. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was announced earlier this year and released, and we got a code for it. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that this game fixed everything that was an issue for me from the first game. And at the same time, it all was blinking in my house. Here, something's blinking. At the same time, it thunder outside. That's a good sign. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl has fixed everything from the first game and done a whole bunch of good stuff in this new game, in the sequel, and I'm about to talk about it. First and foremost, way improved visuals. I'm playing it on PS5. Zach's playing it on Steam. I gave JJ a Switch code.
Because we hate him.
Because we hate him. There are issues there because I guess the Switch version is not running very well from what he was saying. This runs magnificently on PS5. The visuals are great. Like I'm going to pause this a little bit to show you some of the stuff. Everything is rendered really well, right? So you start off the game. There are several modes. I'll kind of dive into the campaign mode and the kind of just general battle. General battle wise, like I said, visuals are great. What I love about it is that the animations for the characters actually fit the moves now, in that you start off playing the game really with like SpongeBob to learn a lot of stuff. SpongeBob is sort of the Mario of the game, of the series. His move now is he does the stupid rainbow, right? The very famous SpongeBob rainbow. But the animation lines up with the attack this time. Like in the past, you would actually have just like punches and kicks. In this case, they're actually taking animations from the IP that they're from and turning it into actual movesets, which I think is fantastic. They've sort of homogenized the art style, so it still looks like characters, still looks like the IP that they're from, but now they've sort of made the art style work together a little bit better, which I think is also really cool. The other really interesting aspect of it is the way that they've kind of really fine-tuned the classes in this game. In the first game, you had like 10 characters from let's say from Rugrats, and the majority of them played the same. I mean, it's like the Smash Brothers issue where there's like 15 sword fighters from Fire Emblem and they all play exactly the same. Instead of having like Tommy from Rugrats and SpongeBob fight and they might have real similar attacks, they actually chose Reptar as the character from Rugrats to take on, let's say SpongeBob or Powder Toast Man or whatever. And the reason being is that Reptar now is actually play significantly differently than SpongeBob, than Donatello, than April O'Neil, than Jimmy Neutron. They all really have an individual fighting style. And that's something that was missing from that first game. Again, the first game was fine, but you could play as any of the characters and not really get much out of it. differentiation wise. In this game, they really are unique in their play styles. So that said, great level design. The one aspect of this, I don't know if they show it here or not, is the new slime mechanic. The slime mechanic is fantastic. So you get this little meter. If it shows up here, I'll pause it. This little meter starts building up on the screen that has like a little slime meter. And what happens with the slime meter? Oh, they don't show it. Oh, well. What happens with the slime meter is that you can use it to break combos. You can like hold one of the trigger buttons. It'll break combos. It'll let you jump back onto a platform if you're too far down. It will let you unleash more powerful moves or block moves or do reverses or do, faster movements, that kind of stuff, depending on which trigger, what point of that slime meter is happening. The HP of the person you're fighting against. And if you're just somebody who is a little bit more basic in some of the way you play these games, you can just use it almost like a Smash Brothers move where it kind of uses if the slime meter is filled up, you use you tap right with the right stick and it'll unleash a superpower, like cartoonish animation finishing move type of thing, which is actually really fun to watch. So that addition, I think, is great. The ability to sort of build up and drain this slime meter to do certain fighting moves and breaks and holds these modifiers to the game, I think, is awesome. So that's a fighting mechanic. It works great. But what I loved was the campaign mode, which is this very basic roguelite style setup. And you can sort of see right there. You can kind of see there. It's set up in an array of stages that you go through each one. Some of the stages are one-on-one battles. Some of them are like you're popping balloons. Some are platforming challenges. It reminds me a lot of the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate overworld map thing where you're kind of facing off against folks, but they are also randomized, and it's because it's a roguelite. You get to a certain point if you lose all your health and you die. Like there's one of the platforming challenges. Lose all your health and die. Clockwork is one of the characters that you're kind of working with in this sort of story mode. Will rewind time and pull you back to the beginning of the run. Obviously, it gets frustrating because, hey, I didn't get a chance to. Here's Ren and Stimpy, by the way. I didn't get a chance to finish the game and fight one of the bosses or whatever. And you kind of get reset back like any roguelite, but you do keep, you keep certain gold, you keep certain unlocked characters and that kind of stuff. And you can, again, by facing off the characters one-on-one in these little mini missions on this world map, you can unlock them for later runs. And then there's like this hub world built into it. It's really cool. I enjoyed this roguelite aspect because it did have me coming back, had me playing the game to unlock characters. It had me checking out different move sets. It's not perfect as a roguelite, obviously, because it is still meant to be a fighting game, but I think it's a novel enough idea that it warrants multiple playthroughs to just check out some of the zany things like this Ren and Stimpy part. Check out some of the zany things that they're doing within the game. So Nick All-Star Brawl 2, a lot of fun. They did a great job with the game. I'm really surprised how much they pulled off.
The only thing is this, do you think, an example of a game that just wasn't quite ready the first time around? And
yes,
was it at a beta that was number 1 and then a full release that was number 2?
I think so. And I think the first one was so the story goes is that the first Nick All-Star Brawl game was essentially penned by a bunch of Smash Brothers fanatics that wanted to make their own take on it. And these are a lot of well-known folks in the community, wanted to make their own take on it, but they couldn't necessarily do Smash Brothers. So they did another IP. They pitched it to Nickelodeon and got their footing set up. And they did some of the very technical aspects. They got I think it was more focusing on the technical side of things. But one aspect they missed was that was the beta. That was the early access period. It's like, yeah, we got the technical side down really well, but what's the hook? And I think this version actually gets the hook put together. Like they figured, we've got to do this because it's almost like they held that first game as early access because they got a lot of feedback from fans who fell off playing. Like there was nothing to keep people coming back.
Yeah,
to
and
the game.
I guess that's what's weird to me is that
Yeah.
like, you described the first one into the second one. It's like, why not release it as an like in the era?
Nickelodeon, dude.
Yeah, I
Nickelodeon would
know.
do it. That's exactly what it is.
Which
But I
which
think
which
they didn't know. I feel like they didn't know that the first game was going to be early access. I thought it kind of feels like that first game was let's get a game out that we think is technically sound, which it is. But then again, some of the things they're missing is what they didn't realize that they needed some really cool, unique hook to this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the second game does. And yeah, they did a great job. I'm really enjoying all the outfits that the characters can put on. The writing is actually really funny. Like you'll in the campaign mode, you'll have SpongeBob talking to like Clockwork or talking to Ren and Stimpy, and they'll say really funny things to each other. So there's some great writing of the game. Patrick thinks that people are invading his brain. So that's always great. But no, yeah, they learned a lot from the first game, and they learned that you got to make these characters unique. And by golly, this is a year that people are talking about Street Fighter 6 and they're talking about Mortal Kombat 1. This may not have the cachet of those series. This is a damn fine sequel. Like this should be considered it's one of the top 3 fighting games of the year. There is a season pass as well. I think there's 25 characters that this game starts with that you can open up initially, and I think there's probably gonna be a lot more later on. But God, do it. I mean, they did it. They pulled this sucker off, and good for them. So yeah, man, solid. I'm gonna be playing this fighting game with my nephews and my daughter way more than I would have played like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or whatever. Not just their age,
it's
but
more approachable.
I think from a fighting mechanic, it's more approachable. From a familiarity with the characters, like the characters actually feel like the characters this time, like I said earlier. So no, they did a good job. That slime factor is great because I use it differently than the younger folk in my home do when I'm playing with them because like I will use this slime mechanic to prevent combos from taking place, for instance. Meanwhile, my nephews will do it as a super move because they thought the super move looks really cool. And that's great. There's no rubber banding in this game, which is good. So it's not like you're like a lot of times in Smash or other games, you'll be so far behind, and all of a sudden like this big giant item will drop that will affect the game in your favor. There's none of that in this. You still have to have some good skill. Like I was crushing people that are a 10th my age, but you can't do that with like Mario Kart or other type of these mascot games. No, it's good. Really enjoying it. I'll be playing it. I played the last one for all of like a week and a half at most because I got it on sale for like $9. I'm gonna be playing this one. I could see myself playing this one into spring, just depending on which characters are showing up. So yeah, good on them. Good stuff. Nick All-Star Brawl 2. You are playing a sequel, also a number 2.
That's true.
You are playing
the big sequel of the month, Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake Dose Part 2.
So Alan Wake 2 came out what, a week ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. They withheld it a week because everything else is coming out that other week.
Yeah, and plus, you know what? It's a spooky season game, I think.
Yeah.
It does just fine. I've probably put in 5, maybe 6 hours. It's in my opinion, slow burn.
Sure.
But so was Alan Wake 1. I came off, I played Control after it had come out with the Ultimate Edition. So Control being Remedy's last really big game.
Yeah.
And Alan Wake 2 clearly builds on a lot of the things that Remedy learned from Control in the good ways, and keeps some of the atmosphere and the ethos of the Alan Wake 1, but a lot of the things that they learned from Control and the successes of Control. It's a faster game than what Alan Wake 1 was, which is good because Alan Wake 1 was kind of like, I dare you to go replay Alan Wake 1. It's kind of a slog, even on the remaster.
Yeah.
And
still great though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, one of the best narrative games it came out over 10 years ago. I mean, it's almost 15 years ago that Alan Wake 1 came out. And still one of the best narrative-driven games that have come out in the last 20 years, in my opinion. I mean, ask anybody that was probably a JPEG fan, and they'll probably agree. But yeah, I mean, Alan Wake 2 is an excellent game. As so long as you have the device that can run it.
That's what I was going to ask. So you said it was slogging on the Steam Deck a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm not playing it
how you're trying to play it.
I'm not playing it on Steam Deck.
Okay, all right.
I regularly check the Steam Deck subreddit, for better or for worse. And I'm playing it on my desktop PC, which has a 3070 Ti in it. So not a terribly old graphics, relatively new. The subreddit for Steam Deck, has people running it. It works. It is functional. It's not great. It looks like shit, and runs at 20 to 25 FPS. But when you're playing a game of this caliber, the medium preset, there was a hodgepodge that came out when Remedy put out their recommended specs for medium. And in fact, to the point where Digital Foundry, who is a big company that are, actually, I wonder how Digital Foundry is doing. We didn't talk about Escapist and their video team and the gamer stuff, but I'm not going to get into it at this point.
Sure.
Digital Foundry put out a whole video about here's the Alan Wake 2 recommended specs. What does it mean? Does it matter? And it was very prescient, and I recommend that anybody that's interested in Alan Wake 2 or is planning on playing it on PC or wants to see what PC is compared to PS5 or Xbox One, go check out their video on it. But the reality is that medium settings on Alan Wake 2 are, to some games, high or ultra, because they just pushed a lot of stuff forward. Look at this video. This is inherent lighting that effectively is there on medium preset. And that's just what Remedy did on this title. They were like, with this medium settings means this for our game this time around. And it shows on how you play it, on just even the most basic of actions. Everything has a certain level of lighting and atmosphere to it that many other games do not. And that's because they pushed a lot of stuff forward. So
God, it looks gorgeous. Like it looks
really, really good.
Ways. Yeah.
It is one of those kind of games where you get sucked into it. You're kind of really viscerally a part of it when you're playing it. And it's hard to talk about a lot of it because it's one of those things, again, much like the first one was, which is, I can't spoil it for you because you have to play it to see through it. It does a lot of cool things though, and there are clips that are shown in the trailer that you're showing, which is parts of the game which are outside of the exploratory portion of it, which is the Mind Palace and the Writer's Room, which are the only things that I will kind of pre-spoil. So, outside of the action portions, when you're playing the FBI detective, you can go to the Mind Palace. You can go to, connect the dots as if you're, trying to solve a case. that's her in the Mind Palace right there. Or when you're
Hmm.
Alan Wake, you can go into the writer's room and you can build a storyboard element.
Oh
And so
wow.
when you're playing as Alan, you can change the storyboard. But if you change the storyboard, you literally change the environment that
Cool.
you're
How
in
cool.
right now. So you're like, all right, I'm going to look at this storyboard where, the environment that I'm in, except now I'm going to focus on if the FBI agent found me, or if the FBI agent was investigating, or what if in this environment it was a ritualistic cult that
Hmm.
had taken over the environment, et cetera, et cetera. So Alan Wake is there to kind of augment the world that you're in. The FBI agent is there to piece together context clues and drive the story forward. And it's just all done in a way that doesn't feel forced, which to me at the end of the day is the hallmark of a game that is fun to play. So I think it all does that very, very well, and
Awesome.
it's a pretty incredible sequel. So
Can't wait.
I gave up my Alan Wake 2 time to be on
To
the
be on
show.
the show.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be definitely playing this game at some point this year. I'd like to get it before heading over to the Game Awards stuff, but and
Highly
our,
recommend you at least get it started.
yeah,
See what it's all about.
all messed
I
up
mean,
there.
like, as it's.
There's gonna be spoilers
I think
abounding everywhere,
did it
but
make the cut? Did it make the cut to make
it
it to the
did. I
Game
think the end
Awards?
of I think like middle of November is like where the cut is or
And
something. So
it's
I think it made.
assuming that it made the cut, Alan Wake 2
Oh
will
no,
be.
they announced the nominees on Monday, so I think that so it made the cut. I
It'll
think end of October. Okay,
it'll be there. I would guess that Alan Wake 2 is going to win at least one
nice.
award.
Yeah,
Whatever leaves, whatever Tears of the Kingdom leaves behind.
sure.
Between that and Baldur's Gate 3. So
Yeah. You have also been playing another game. I'm gonna get to this one. This is a game that I had never heard about. Let me see if I can
and
load this.
I hadn't either, and because I'm assuming you're talking about Ast Libra.
Yes, there it is.
So Ast Libra was, my God,
It's the Switch
Switch version, which is
trailer,
just
but whatever,
fine.
same. Yeah,
Keizo or Kaizo. I'm not sorry. I'm not
whatever
sure
it is.
how
Yeah.
exactly it's pronounced. Published by Whisper Games. But Ast Libra is super interesting. Really enjoyable action RPG to play. Has a very weird, semi-cerebral story.
Hmm.
And anybody that grew up, especially if you're as old as I am, playing, if you played Maple Story,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
it's
Yeah.
like that, except in my opinion, more engaging and
Oh wow,
better.
cool.
But it feels like that in the sense that you're side-scrolling RPG, except it's got a heaviness to it in terms of the story that it has. It's got a kind of corniness to it, and the story that it has. I think I've seen the credits about 6 times already.
Oh really? Is it a
It
fast game to play or?
No, they just Keizo plays the credits a lot.
I got it.
Like it feels like he.
Wait, hold on. In this trailer, wait.
Yeah.
How do you cut from a young girl to ready for this? She grows up, and then there is super boob mode right here. Watch. Look at the
Listen,
boobs.
that's separate. I actually haven't gotten to that portion.
Spoilers. There's boob mode.
I actually haven't even gotten there yet.
Okay, all right.
So I cannot tell you what that means in the
Super
grand
boob
scheme
mode
of.
is. Anyways,
in the grand
yeah.
scheme.
Really cool visuals in this game, by the way. I freaking love this.
No, it looks great.
Hand drawn style. Reminds me of like Odin Sphere a little bit and Muramasa. And
yeah. I think all
Nice.
of those apply. And it's one of those. It's just like it's just hack and slash goodness. It's all very responsive. It doesn't feel like it all feels good to play.
Mhm.
There is a certain what what makes me want to go back to it, especially now even that like I'm talking about, is that like there's clearly something much grander than
Sure.
what I can see, or that like what I've played, what the story is going to reveal to me, um, that I want to figure out, and that's definitely a big part of it. Um, but it also has all the elements of, hey, you want to unlock this weapon or
Hmm.
figure this out, like you upgrade weapons by just using them repeatedly. That kind of thing is all right there. um yeah, it's a good game.
Cool.
I'll,
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
I'm gonna keep playing it.
That is, if you can get yourself away from this other game, Chained
Chained
Echoes.
Echoes, ooh man. So I played Sea of Stars. I beat Sea of Stars. This is like weeks ago at this point. But Sea of Stars has a serious, um which one came out first? Chained Echoes, I think,
Chained
actually
Echoes did,
came.
yeah, it came out
Chained
first. Yep,
Echoes came out first,
yep. I
and
think it
it's
was
actually
last year. Chained Echoes came out.
and it's
Yeah.
surprising to me because I think they both came to Game Pass, but for
Okay.
whatever reason, um, I didn't pick up on Chained Echoes, but I
Hmm.
did pick up on Sea of Stars. I'm not sure why, um, but that being said, Chained Echoes is killer,
Is
really
it?
really good,
Okay. Cool.
really really good. Um, So I haven't gotten to the part where I get to play in the exosuits, which is clearly a very big part of the game,
Yeah.
judging by how involved they
You're just getting
are.
spoiled like crazy on
Well, I
in
mean,
these
listen,
videos.
you
Yeah.
get to you get to play in the suit at the very beginning of the game, so
Sure.
it's not a mystery that it happens. Um, but you don't get to do the customization that they showed in the trailer there. It's it feels in some parts Final Fantasy 9-ish. It feels in
Okay.
the some parts Final Fantasy, I don't want to say tactics because it's just turn based, but the story elements of it feel kind of tactics. It's very political.
Hmm.
It's geopolitical in the way that the story is built, and yeah, I mean
Are you
it's a
Steam Decking this, by the way?
yeah. I've been
Okay.
playing Steam Deck. I would say 95%.
The
Um,
the the 16-bit ish genre of RPGs
just
back is I love that genre, but between this and Sea of Stars, like they both make me salivate in like cool
well, yeah. I
ways.
mean,
Like,
the big difference for me is just that it's not that Bravely Default and
yeah,
Octopath
whatever.
Traveler are bad,
Right.
but this innovates in this, and Sea of Stars innovates in ways that those games did not.
Right.
They were
Right.
like, all
Yeah.
right, we have the foundation. Let's tweak this, let's tweak that, and make another one.
Hmm.
This and Sea of Stars both are like, and Sea of Stars, even I would even say that this is more innovative than Sea of Stars, because Sea of
Okay. All
Stars
right.
is largely the same thing with kind of fun twists on narrative, um, and some other stuff. I think that this, if you're a JRPG fan, or if you're just a general RPG, turn-based RPG fan, this is an extremely interesting game that you should be looking at.
Mm.
One of the more, or one of the cooler facets of it is the fact that every battle, once you're done, you regen HP and TP. TP is their
Mm.
version of MP.
Not
It's
toilet paper, but yeah,
no,
yeah.
technical points, whatever you want to call it.
Technical
It's
points.
your ability
Yeah.
points, right? So in spending instead of spending MP, you spend TP, and all of your resources regen after every fight. So like every fight is, you spend as much as you possibly can to just win the fight, and you reset afterward, guaranteed, no matter what. So you don't, like, everything is what you use in the battle, and that's it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what it does is create the dynamics of, how do I win this fight every single time? And I don't know, it's very good.
Oh,
It's really
sweet.
really good.
Sweet.
It's one of the more interesting turn-based RPGs
It's
of a while.
it's always on sale everywhere, which is for like a great price these days. If you get it in like a bundle type of thing,
You should pick it up.
Yeah,
If
man.
you are
With my
interested in
backlog, if my backlog wasn't,
turn-based RPGs, doesn't matter. Pick it up on sale.
that's actually it's a good
and then
point.
play
Turn-based
later.
RPGs can be played whenever. You are correct. You are correct. Well, you've been playing some great games. I've been playing some great games. There was game news, and we got this done in a little over an hour, which is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, God, imagine what it would have been like if my daughter hadn't thrown up.
Yeah, and
an
if we
hour
had
ago.
JJ or Zach or Sam,
No,
on
I don't
here,
want to think about how long it would have taken if JJ was here.
we would have just started.
I would have had to go to bed.
Yeah, we'd both be asleep right now. With that said, you can find them and us over on sidequesting.com in our Discord. You can find us individually all over the place. And you can find us at twitch.tv. We're SideQuesting TV over there, SideQuesting TV over at YouTube. But really, the Discord. We are coming up on the holiday season. If you are a member of our Discord, which you better be, we might start the SideQuesting Secret Santa soon here.
Almost time.
We're getting some good feedback for that, so that'll be fun. Do a bunch of giveaways here. I mentioned it last time. I have a lot of codes and I have a lot of swag, and it's the holiday season, so we'll be doing giveaways. So be ready. And drink your coffee, take your vitamins. Thank you to all of our 0 sponsors. Always looking for sponsors.
Thanks to all of our sponsors.
If anybody wants to be a sponsor, please
Let me
contact
know.
us. We got bills. With that said, we'll see you on the next episode of the Side Quest. We'll see you. Bye-bye.